set slowly over the sleepy town of Millwood, a place where people barely noticed when it rained or when the stars came out. It was a forgotten town, tucked away between winding roads and forgotten dreams. For years, its name barely made it onto maps, and its people were seen as the ones who never left, who stayed behind in the background of a fast-moving world. The air smelled of nostalgia, dust, and the quiet ache of what could have been. But something was brewing, something that would shake the town awake in ways no one saw coming. Millwood wasn't much to look at, but it had a heart that thumped, quietly and rhythmically, under the noise of the world. Yet the world was changing. And change? Well, change was about to hit Millwood like a freight train. At the edge of town, down a dirt road that nobody bothered to repave, there was a house that looked like it had seen better days. This house belonged to Darius, a young man with dark skin and short dreads, the kind of man who had a look about him that you couldn't quite ignore. His presence was magnetic, yet humble. His name was just starting to rise above the quiet murmur of Millwood. But he wasn't looking for fame. Darius had always known he was different. He could hear rhythms in everything: the wind through the trees, the shuffle of shoes on the pavement, the hum of an old car engine, and in the back of his mind, hip-hop was the soundtrack to it all. He rapped in his room, in the car, even while walking down the street. The beats in his head were constant companions, but Millwood didn't know Darius's name yet. Darius wasn't chasing fame. No, he was chasing something bigger. He was chasing truth. Truth about the streets, about the South, about the people who lived their whole lives working hard, struggling, surviving. And that truth, it was in every bar he wrote, every beat he made. It was in his soul. One evening, Darius posted a video. It wasn't much, just him spitting bars in his room with a beat he made himself. But something about it clicked. He wasn't just another rapper trying to make it. He was telling a story. He was speaking to the heart of what it meant to grow up black in a place like Millwood. A place that the world had forgotten, but where black culture had always thrived in the shadows. The video went viral in ways no one expected. People who had never heard of Millwood were suddenly curious. People from all over the country started sharing his music. The local diner where Darius used to work became a hangout for the new wave of fans who came to see the hometown hero. Millwood wasn't just a dot on a map anymore. No, Millwood was now a movement. And that movement, it was powered by Darius's beats, his lyrics, his vision. As Darius's popularity grew, so did the town's pride. People who once thought of Millwood as a forgotten place now stood tall, proud of their hometown's newest success. Local businesses, even the once silent church down the street, supported Darius. The old man who ran the corner store was always ready with a fresh cup of iced tea for Darius when he passed by. The high school basketball coach used Darius's name as an example of what hard work and dedication could do. Millwood was united by music, a force that transcended generations, race, and class. The same people who had once turned their backs on the town were now trying to figure out how to be a part of this cultural shift. But it wasn't just the adults who rallied behind Darius. The youth of Millwood, inspired by his success, started to pick up their own microphones, their own instruments, and their own dreams. Darius had given Millwood more than a name. He'd given them a reason to believe, a reason to dream. And in doing so, he'd ignited a fire that wasn't just his, it was theirs too. With his newfound success, Darius wasn't just about making music. He wanted to redefine what it meant to be a black artist in the South, to blend Southern roots with modern-day hip-hop, to carry forward the rich tradition of black culture that had always existed in the shadows of history. His lyrics spoke to the struggle, the hustle, the beauty, and the pain of the black experience, both in Millwood and beyond. His sound was a blend of trap, blues, and gospel, bringing the music of his ancestors into the modern world. Every song was a conversation, every bar a statement about who he was, where he came from, and where he was going. Darius wasn't just spitting rhymes. He was telling a story that had been passed down for generations, a story that had never truly been told in the way it needed to be. And that story, it wasn't just Darius's story, it was Millwood's story. As his album hit the top charts, Darius stood on the balcony of the house he grew up in, overlooking the town that had once turned its back on him. The quiet, forgotten streets now felt alive with possibility. He knew the journey wasn't over. In fact, it had just begun. The future was wide open, and the road ahead was paved with music, hope, and a community that would never be forgotten again. Darius had set out to change his world, and in doing so, he changed the world of a small town that had no idea it was about to be reborn. And as for the future, well, it was as bright as the music that filled the air. Darius stands, the weight of his town's rebirth on his shoulders, ready for whatever comes next. Millwood isn't just a forgotten place anymore. It's a symbol of transformation, of dreams realized, and of hip-hop's power to bring people together. This isn't just the story of Darius. This is the story of a small town that found its voice. And that voice, it was hip-hop.